Hi, I'm Alex, and today we're going to be talking about libraries. Libraries, believe it or not, libraries actually, at least to me, have always been a really important part of a community, but also a really great resource for writers. I really just want to at least share how they've been important to me and how they might help you. First off, they're free. You can walk into any library and look through all the books they have. Completely free. No sign up, no neat. Now, obviously, if you go into, say, a state library, you might have some security you gotta go through. But still, completely free. Getting a library card. In every case that I've come across, completely free. Now, at least where I've lived, you have to show proof that you live in their county, but completely free. You can't beat that. Libraries, depending on their programs available, can actually be a really good way to meet other writers in your community. I know that my library has a monthly writing critique circle. So you bring your piece, you share it, and you get critique on it. You can meet other writers from your community just by going. By their very nature, libraries have a vast amount of information. Even your smaller libraries, mine actually being one of the smaller ones I've seen, not the smallest. I've actually seen another library nearby that is actually smaller than the one I go to. But even your small libraries will have at least a fiction and nonfiction section. And in either way, you will find a vast amount of information across a huge amount of topics. You want to learn cooking, there's cookbooks. My library even happens to have baking pans you can take out, which is really different. I'm curious how they decided that one. There's information on woodworking. There's romance novels and adventure novels and pirate novels. There is a little bit for everyone. If you're someone who has kids, introduce them to it early. There's almost always a kids section. Some even have it like its own room so the kids can be kids. They're not going to be perfectly quiet like adults tend to be. So they have their own place where they'll be less disturbing to everyone else, so you don't have to worry about that. Although, you know, library. And they then get to start getting into reading and finding what they're interested in, because they will then have a variety of kids' books that they can explore. Libraries are completely non-judgmental. Now, what I mean is, you can take out a book, any book in the library, and the librarians or whoever's working there, it is their job to not judge you for what you're reading. If you go in and you know that you're looking for a certain type of book, you can ask them and they have to tell you, well, if they have it, but they have to show you where it is without judging you over what you're reading. And I get it. Even in fiction, I've come across rather judgmental people like, oh, you're reading that. Oh, they won't be like that. You can find a completely non-judgmental place to read whatever you want. And that is a rather amazing thing now. For those of you who, like me, aren't the social butterflies, it can be a rather low pressure way of interacting with other people, interacting with your community. Most libraries, or at least, no, many libraries have programs that run throughout the month. And some will be free that you can go to. Others may have a small fee because they have someone coming in. But they're very easy ways to start interacting, especially if you're uncomfortable around people, because they'll either be small groups. I think in mine, the largest group I've seen was 25 or so, but that was very much larger event. I believe it was a class of something. But generally, the groups will stay small. So you won't feel as pressured to be the talkative one. Or if it is a class, you may spend most of that class listening to the professor, or not professor, but the teacher, and may just have to speak once or twice. It's a good way to start figuring out how to communicate with people without feeling like you've got to dive into the deep end of it. On the end of being going back to the non-judgmental thing I was talking about, libraries generally, I haven't been to every library, I haven't seen every community, but generally, libraries are a safe place. What I mean by that is they're calm, generally quiet. I did notice mine is actually a little on the noisier side, but still quiet in comparison to pretty much any place I'd go. And it's safe as safe as a place can be. So if, say, for some reason, you have no place to go during the day, you can go to a library, and however long they're open, you can be there. They're not going to throw you out. And then you can read, work on work, whatever. But as long as they're open, they're not going to throw you out. So there's a safe place you can go during the day. If you're someone who is trying to get some work done and you're easily distracted by a lot of loud noises or a lot of... so if you're easily distracted by like the clatter of everyday life, libraries. Most of them have tables. Most of them have places you can work. Bring your notebooks, bring your books, borrow books, whatever. And again, as long as they're open, they'll just let you work. They will not throw you out. Unless you're causing a problem, they will leave you alone. They might ask if you want to look, if you need help with a book, if it looks like you're trying to find something and can't find it, but they will just let you go. Libraries, now, not including days where they've got kids things going on or special events, libraries are incredibly calm. Especially for someone like me. Libraries are one of the most calming places for me to ever walk into. But if you're having one of those days where everything is just digging into your skull, or you're just like, okay, every little thing's, and you can't find some place to calm down, honestly, try going to your library. Find a book and sit down. Just sit down. Just try going to the library. I personally, I find them incredibly calming places to go. Finally, supporting your library actually in a lot of ways supports your community. What I mean is, when your library has its funding, which I didn't know this, sidetrack. We'll get back to what I was saying, but we'll sidetrack into this for a minute. Many libraries receive their funding based not on how many people go to the library, but on how many books they have to reshelve. That is the weirdest thing I've ever heard, but apparently that's true for a lot of libraries. So even if you just take a book to look at real quick, don't put it back on the shelf, even if you know exactly where it is. Now, my library actually says you can if you want. if you know exactly where it was, but generally speaking, if they have a cart for reshelving, or they have somewhere to put books for reshelving, put it there, because that actually helps fund them, because they keep track of how many books they reshelved. How weird is that? I would have thought it was how many people coming in. No, it's reshelved books. I could keep a library funded like that. But back to what I was saying. When a library receives funding to do programs, those programs are to help your community. My library does history lessons for the community of things that have happened. It has writing circles. It does a lot of kids programming. All of these things are for the betterment of your community and to help your community grow. So by going to your library, by supporting your library, you really are just helping your neighborhood and your community be a better place. And that is kind of the purpose of a library. It's to help people just grow as people. And if that isn't the greatest thing ever, I don't know what is. Because all of us are just trying to make our lives better or more enriched. And libraries go a long way to doing that. That got really deep. And that got really less energetic than I intended. Let me know in the comments your impressions of libraries. Have you been to your local library? Are you interested in finding out where your local library is? Because I certainly didn't know for quite some time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!